Hello everyone, my name is Amanda. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are not new here, welcome back to another episode of The Planty Monday. So you are looking at the first video that I created for this new series I just thought of called Friday Favorites. So essentially it's every Friday I'm gonna pick one of my favorite plants and just talk about it. So yep, that's what it is. And the purpose of doing this is, to share my experience and my knowledge with you guys on certain plants, and hope that you will also share your knowledge with me, so that way we can all learn and grow together. So that's the whole purpose of me doing this Friday Favorite series. And at this point of my plant journey, I have my plant numbers fluctuate between 100 to 120. So I think right now I'm at about 113. I am not entirely sure because it's changed all the time. But yeah, I feel like, I have so many plants, and why don't we just, pick one plant a week and then talk about it. So that's how I come about this series. So let's get started. All right, you are looking at the plants that I'm going to talk about. And ta-da, here she is. So I'm sure like all of you guys are very familiar with this plant, and it's a very, very common house plant that a lot of us get as a first time house plant owner, because it's just such an easy and beautiful and lush plant. And this is no other than Philodendron hederaceum, aka hardleaf philodendron. So of course, it's called hardleaf philodendron because the leaf, as you can see, it's cute little heart shape. And this is, one of my first houseplant, and I love it. I got it about like a year ago. And yeah, like a year ago when I first started like collecting plants. And when I first got it, this baby, it's about, I would say like this long, like about maybe a foot or so long. And I just put it on the shelf, and then I let it wrap around, like climb up. And yesterday I was like, you know what, I want to take this out and do like a video on that. So I try to unwrap it, and guess how long it has grown. I didn't even know, I just leave it on there. So let me show you. All right, so this is the baby, so you will not be able to see me, okay? So it's still going, and still going. Yep, I can't even fit the whole thing in here. So, yep, there we go. So, I'm about 5'3", 5'4", something like that. So I think this baby, the longest one, right? The longest one is about 7 or 8 feet long, actually. And that's from a year. So, this tell me that this guy, it's a very vigorous grower. And yeah, as you can see, it's it has grown like a lot, in a year. And it's because I feel like I gave it somewhat like a pretty good environment according to where's the plants come from. So now this plant, it's come from Mexico to tropical America. And for the light requirement, it's generally like more like moderate light, and because it just basically climb on trees, so it doesn't get that direct sunlight. So yeah, I generally just give it like a I gave it like a southern exposure, but because all my windows are facing south, so I don't really have an option. But right next to my building there is another building, so I would say my plant doesn't get like a full-on south-facing direct sun, like intense sun, but more like a east or western exposure. So yeah, so I would say like the light I give this plant, it's probably like bright indirect, more like a east or western exposure. And there is a grow light on top of it, to help a little bit, and that's why you can see the top is still pretty full, because a lot of time when we have like trailing plants and if we don't give it a lot of top down lighting, for example like this one, the top will get bald. But because I do have like an overhead grow light, so you know it still look pretty lush on top. So if you want your trailing plant to get more lush on top, yeah, give it an overhead light. So I would say all in all, medium light will be good, and low lights for this plant, it will tolerate it, but it's probably not going to grow much. Right. So next, let's talk about water. This plant is also very forgiving in terms of watering. I water when the soil is maybe like 70% dry, like 60-70% dry, because I don't think it's like to be in like bone dry soil like some of the epiphytic species like Hoyas or orchids. But this plant is also really good at telling you when it's need water. So when it needs water, you'll see that the leaves, right? So you see how the leaf is like flat and beautiful and glossy. So when it needs water, it will kind of like curl up like this. So, and then it will droop. So that is a time that you know that, you know, it's really needs water. So make sure you water it thoroughly. And I just use tap water. It's honestly doesn't really care. Yeah, so that will be my watering schedule. So I would say based on that schedule, like the 67% dry schedule, or like with the lighting that I gave it, I water it maybe once every 10 days to 12 days, I would say. So yeah, pretty low maintenance, easy to care for plants in terms of watering as well. So one thing that is closely related to watering is the potting medium. So again, I don't think this plant like to be completely bone dry, although it will forgive it. So I gave it, I still have this in the, what do you call it, the nursery pot. With the same potting medium, which is more like a PDA mix, and yeah, it's fine. It doesn't complain at all, and it's actually retained the water better because it's still in the plastic pot and in a PDA mix. So that's why I don't have to really water it that much. Like I said, 10 to 12 days. But if you have it in a terracotta pot, which is like porous, so the water will actually evaporate out more, so you may need to water it more often. But you know, for me, for this plants, yeah, PDA mix, it works perfectly fine, and nursery pot work perfectly fine. Fertilizing, again, this is a very resilient plant, so I don't really fertilize it that much. I would say maybe once a month at most, and I just give it a balanced organic fertilizer like 333, you know, for the NKP value. And yeah, and it's happy. And my general rule for fertilizing plant is like, if it's growing season, like spring, summer, fall, because I'm in the northern hemisphere, then I fertilize it. But even in the winter season, if I notice that the plant is active growing, which this guy is, it's just grew like all year, I fertilize it regardless. So yeah, so that would be my fertilizing schedule. And pests, I do not knock on wood many times. That's my dog. She thinks someone is talking to her. Okay, but anyway, I haven't got any pests for this plant at all. And like I said, it's a really resilient plant, and yeah, and as long as you keep the plants healthy in general, the plant itself, you know, pretty resilient against pests. And one thing that I would say though, if at all this plant get pests, mealybugs is very common, and they would hide in the patio, like, or under the leaf, and they look like this like cottony mass. And a really good sign to tell if you're like hederaceum or like any kind of pothos pretty much get mealybugs is the leaf will turn yellow for no reason. So if that's the case, if you have this plant and you see that the leaf turning yellow, watering is fine, sunlight or light is fine, you may want to check for mealybugs. But for me, you know, she is pretty resilient. I love her. I try to keep her healthy. And for propagation wise, super easy. All right. So you see that, I love this plant. So you can see that like there's all these like nodes, and with the nodes, within the nodes, you see all these aerial roots, right? So if I want to propagate this plant, I essentially just cut underneath a node, and then I can put it in, I will let it colors for at least 24 hours. And then from there, I'm just gonna like pop it in water, or for me, I like moist bedlam moss because that works well for me. And then I would just put it in there, and within like, I would say it's fast, within like a week or so, you should see new root forming. And the reason I like to use bedlam moss is because I found it has an easier time to transition into solid medium, which is soil, you know, later when I want to pot it up. So yeah, so that's pretty much my experience, and a couple of things that I noticed as I grow this plant out. And yep, I can't believe how much it's grown, honestly. Look, it's like, it's much taller than me, and it's really green, it's really lush, and yeah, I love it. And one last thing I want to say is, if you want the leaves to grow larger, like for like vining plants like this, give it a moss pose. And for me, I just put it on a shelf, and then I just let it wrap around the side. So you can see the leaf is still like, you know, in pretty decent size. You know, this is my palm. Oops, sorry. So the leaf is still in pretty decent size, even when it's like, you know, grow longer. And if you don't let it to climb, I noticed that the leaf will get smaller and smaller. But yeah, so this is Philodendron hederaceum. And yeah, so easy to find nursery. Try it out. Super easy, great for beginner to build up your confidence. So yep, that's all I have for you today. And I hope you guys like the Friday Favorite series. I think it's really fun that just to like, you know, share my experience with you guys. And if you guys have grown this plant, you guys have different experience or even question, feel free to leave it in the comments. And as always, if you like this video, please click like and subscribe for more future videos. And I will see you next time. Bye!